Back in the golden decades, from the 1920s through the late 1960s, American cars weren't just machines. They were pride on four wheels, built in Detroit, driven by families from coast to coast. If it said Ford, GM, or Chrysler, it meant something: quality, strength, the American way. But by the 1970s, that confidence began to crack. The oil crisis hit, emission standards tightened, and instead of adapting, Detroit stumbled. What followed was a wave of poorly built, badly timed cars that didn't just underperform, they broke trust. Some were so bad, they turned loyal customers away for life. Foreign automakers seized the moment, and Detroit's dominance began to fade. So, which cars pushed Americans to say, "Never again"? Here are 7 of the worst American cars ever made. Machines that helped take an empire and bring it to its knees. Number 7. 1979 Chrysler R-Body. By the late 70s, Chrysler was running on fumes, financially, creatively, and mechanically. And nothing showed that more clearly than the R-Body cars. Released in 1979, the Chrysler Newport, New Yorker, Dodge St. Regis, and Plymouth Grand Fury were big, boxy sedans riding on bones that were already ancient. Literally, the R-Body was just a recycled B-Body platform from 1962, because Chrysler didn't have the cash to engineer something new. And that might have been forgivable if gas hadn't just hit the roof. While GM had already slimmed down its full-size cars in '77, Chrysler lumbered in with oversized dinosaurs just as the oil crisis had Americans flocking to smaller, fuel-efficient models. Worse, these cars looked old even when they were new. Plain sheet metal, dated styling, and driving dynamics stuck in a bygone era. But what really doomed them? Reliability. Under the hood sat the infamous lean burn system, a crude early attempt at emissions control using an electronic control module bolted to the air cleaner. Yes, Chrysler mounted the computer right above the engine, where it roasted in heat and died like clockwork. Electrical gremlins were everywhere. Step on the brake and the dome light came on. The dash clock? It'd just stop whenever it felt like it. And the suspension? A last-ditch cost-saving measure meant Chrysler installed 2 left or 2 right torsion bars, ignoring that the car's weight wasn't evenly distributed. The result? A floaty, uneven ride no one wanted. The R-bodies were a desperate Hail Mary that fell flat. Slow sellers, quick rusters, and for many, the final straw that sent them running to Toyota or Honda instead. Number 6. 1971. Ford Pinto. On paper, the Ford Pinto should have been a winner. It was small, light, cheap to build, and arrived just in time for America's growing appetite for compact imports. In a market swarming with Volkswagens and Toyotas, the Pinto gave Ford a chance to fight back. And for a while, it did okay. It wasn't a bad little car. Mechanically, it was decent. But then came the fire. Literally. The Pinto's fatal flaw was its fuel tank placement. Tucked just behind the rear axle with minimal protection, it had a nasty tendency to rupture during rear-end collisions. The result? Fires, explosions, and in some tragic cases, deaths. But what turned a design flaw into a national scandal was what Ford did next. Instead of fixing the problem, the company ran the numbers. Internal memos later revealed that Ford calculated it would be cheaper to pay out wrongful death lawsuits than to recall and redesign the car. The cost to fix it? About $11 per vehicle. When that memo leaked, it was like throwing gasoline on the flames. Public trust didn't just fade, it exploded. The media tore into Ford, lawsuits piled up. And even though the Pinto was never recalled, Its name was scorched into American memory. Ironically, the Pinto wasn't the worst car on the road. It started fine, handled reasonably, and got decent mileage. But no one remembers any of that. What they remember is fire, greed, and the moment a major American company put numbers above lives. The Pinto burned more than just fuel. It burned Ford's reputation. Number 5. 1976 Dodge Aspen and Plymouth Voler. After years of steady sales with the Dart and Valiant, Chrysler needed a fresh compact to lead them into the late 70s. Enter the Dodge Aspen and Plymouth Voler, sleek, modern-looking replacements with big shoes to fill. But instead of leading Chrysler into a new era, they nearly drove it into the ground. Launched in 1976, the Aspen and Voler were riddled with problems from day one. Chief among them, the dreaded lean burn system, an early attempt at computer-controlled ignition that often caused the engine to stall without warning, especially while turning. That's right, imagine your car dying mid-intersection. And it didn't stop there. These cars were recalled over 1.3 million vehicles, a record at the time. Why? Take your pick. Seatbelts that failed in crashes, vapor lines that rubbed against belts and caught fire, battery acid corroding brake lines and causing brake loss, hoods flying open at highway speeds, and even subframes detaching from the body. Oh, and no inner fender liners. That meant these cars rusted faster than anything since the 1950s. A few winters in the Rust Belt, and your brand new Aspen could look a decade old. They were meant to be Chrysler's compact saviors. Instead, they became cautionary tales, symbols of rushed engineering, cheap materials, and the consequences of cutting corners. For many buyers, owning an Aspen or Voler wasn't just frustrating, it was embarrassing. And for Chrysler, it was another blow to a reputation already on the ropes. Number 4. 1980. General Motors XCars. When the Chevrolet Citation hit showrooms in 1980, it looked like a turning point. Front-wheel drive, spacious cabin, good gas mileage, it checked every box for post-oil crisis America. And the public responded fast. Over 800,000 units sold in the very first year, making it the best-selling car in the country. But then, it all fell apart. Literally. The rear brakes had a habit of locking up without warning, sending cars spinning in traffic. Federal safety regulators pushed GM to recall the entire fleet. GM refused. Then came the now infamous morning sickness. Owners would start their cars, try to turn the wheel, and nothing. Power steering was completely gone until the engine warmed up. The culprit? Cheap internal seals that wore out far too early. And inside, things got worse. Window glass fell into door frames. Parking brakes ripped out by hand. The plastic trim looked like it came from a dollar store. Everything rattled, squeaked, or came loose. GM tried to rebrand with a new name, Citation 2. But the damage was already done. Owners had lost patience, and the XCars had earned a reputation they couldn't shake. Sloppy, unreliable, and built on the cheap. What began as GM's bold comeback became a national punchline. The Citation didn't just fail, it embarrassed an entire company. Number 3. 1971 Chevrolet Vega. At first glance, the Chevrolet Vega was a stunner. With sleek lines and Camaro-like proportions, it looked like the perfect compact for a new generation. Affordable, stylish, and proudly American. But under the skin, it was a disaster waiting to happen. At the heart of the Vega sat a brand new 2.3-liter aluminum engine, built without traditional cast-iron cylinder liners. Sounds innovative, right? In practice, It meant rapid piston wear, low durability, and engines that gave out long before their time. And that was just the start. The radiator was undersized. There was no coolant overflow tank. Overheating was common. The aluminum block and iron head expanded at different rates, causing head gaskets to fail and leak. Some engines would toast before the warranty even expired. Rust? Oh, the Vega had that too. GM cut corners on its corrosion-proofing process. Within just a few winters, fenders and doors would bubble and rot, especially in northern states. It was like stepping back into the worst of the 1950s. And if that wasn't enough, one recall revealed that the rear axle could, yes, really, detach from the car entirely. The Vega had all the promise in the world: sporty looks, modern engineering, and a giant company behind it. But in the end, it delivered none of what mattered: reliability, durability, or trust. For GM, it was one of the biggest flops in its history. For owners, it was an expensive lesson in broken promises. Number 2, 1975, AMC Pacer. At a glance, the AMC Pacer looked like something from the future. A bubble of glass, wide and low, with more curves than a 60s Corvette. AMC called it the first wide small car, a revolutionary design meant to shake up the compact market. But what it ended up shaking was consumer confidence. Weighing nearly 3,000 pounds, the Pacer was incredibly heavy for a compact, thanks to all that wraparound glass and wide-body construction. The original plan was to equip it with GM's lightweight rotary engine, but when GM backed out, AMC scrambled and dropped in their old inline-six. The result? A car that was slow, nose-heavy, and burned through fuel like a full-size sedan, just 15 miles per gallon. Maintenance? A nightmare. Engine access was tight. Parts wore out fast. And the interior, though roomy at first glance, aged quickly. Plastics cracked, seats sagged, and trim fell apart in a matter of years. Worse, the design that once looked futuristic became the butt of late-night jokes. Instead of being a vision of tomorrow, the Pacer became a symbol of everything quirky, awkward, and offbeat about 1970s car design. AMC took a bold swing, but missed wildly. The Pacer wasn't just a weird car, it was a strange solution to a problem nobody asked for. And it helped seal AMC's fate in the years that followed. Only one car left, and it's the one that hurt America's most iconic luxury brand. Number 1, 1982, Cadillac Simaron. In the early 80s, Cadillac faced a new kind of threat: German precision. The BMW 3 Series was winning hearts with sharp handling, refined interiors, and compact luxury that American buyers were starting to crave. Cadillac needed an answer. What they delivered was the Simaron. Rather than engineer a brand new model, GM took a shortcut. They grabbed a Chevrolet Cavalier, slapped on a Cadillac badge, added some leather trim, and tripled the price. The result? A car that looked, drove, and felt nothing like a Cadillac. Under the hood was a weak 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine, barely enough to move the car with confidence. The interior, while dressed up with wood-grain plastic and stitched vinyl, still screamed economy car. And the price? Over $12,000, at a time when a loaded Cavalier cost half that. Buyers weren't fooled. They felt insulted, like Cadillac had tried to pull a fast one, and many walked away. Some never came back. The Simaron didn't just flop in the showroom. It left a permanent scar on Cadillac's reputation. For much of the 1980s, the brand struggled to regain the prestige it had built over generations. The Simaron wasn't just a bad car, it was a betrayal. a lesson in what happens when a company forgets what its name stands for. Not every car on this list was a total mechanical disaster. Some looked great on paper. Some even sold well for a while. But they all share one thing in common. They broke the bond between Americans and the cars made in their own backyard. And once that trust was gone, many folks turned to Toyota, to Honda, to BMW, and never looked back. So how about you? Did you ever drive, own, or almost buy one of these cars? Or is there another name you think should have made the list? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because your stories are what keep these machines alive. If this video sparked a memory or made you smile, don't forget to give it a like. And be sure to subscribe, because the next forgotten chapter of automotive history is just around the corner.